Hi everyone, Dave here at East Rosebud Fly and Tackle. Maybe in your area, I know it's certainly starting to happen here, our ponds and lakes are opening up. The fish are hungry and they're roaming around. The leeches are most active early in the spring, so this is a good time of the year for leech patterns. Of course, the fruit roll-up is a very popular pattern. I'm going to tie a very simple pattern called Yeager's Leech. This is actually illustrated in Charlie Craven's book, Tying Streamers. So it only takes a couple of materials, a hook, 2 different colors of wire, a little bit of rabbit fur. Tied properly, this thing drops like a bomb and it weighs next to nothing. So it's a very easy pattern to fish in different depths of water. I'm going to start off using this is a Kumoto 9395, but anyone's make of this hook. This is a 4X long ring-eyed streamer hook. And as I've showed you in other videos, you can always bend a down eye hook straight if you have a heat source. It's very easy to do. I'm using UTC 140 denier purple thread. I'm using the UTC thread because its ability to stay flat, and we want a smooth underbody. Anytime you're wrapping wire over an underbody, that underbody has to be as smooth as you can make it. Start behind the eye. Use your tag end as a slide. That helps to keep things nice and tight. I like to cover about half of the hook and then flatten that thread again all the way to the back. If you look closely, you can see how this thread is starting to cord up. That's the nature of all threads. Every time you make one turn, you induce one twist between the thread at the hook and the thread at the bobbin. By spinning it counterclockwise like that, you remove that twist and reflatten the thread. We want to make sure we're at the end of the hook shank, which is at the back of the barb, and then return our thread smoothly all the way to the eye. Leeches come in a lot of colors, so of course you can make this in many different combinations. I'm going to stop about 1 eye length short of the eye. I'm going to be using 2 different wires, Ultra Thread medium black and then the Brassie in wine. This fly takes a lot of thread or a lot of wire. Count on using about 9 inches of both colors of wires for this size hook. The 2 different weights of wire give it a bit of a 3D effect. The same thing if you tie a 2-wire copper john. So we want to get both of the ends even here. Nice and straight. Butt them up so that they're even. Like so. Set them 1 eye length back from the eye. Keep them together, and wherever you keep them on the hook, wherever you like to tie a wire in, just keep it there. Don't let it wrap around the hook. I like to keep mine on the top of the hook so I can see it. Now, when we come to the end of the shank, we're actually going to take this wire down about 3 wraps. If we don't do that, when we slide on our bunny strip, the bunny strip will want to ride up onto the hook and it won't remain straight. So this way we're going to force it to be straight on top of the hook shank. So just a few wraps down the shank, all it takes. And then we're going to bring our thread back up to the front. And again, about 1 eye length short. I'm going to use my rotary capable vise here. So I'm going to go ahead and tie off the thread here with a half hitch and put it on the bobbin holder. Now, until I get around that hook point, I like to wrap it by hand. Make sure these wires stay parallel to each other. Once you get them wrapping, they will stay side by side, but the first couple wraps you may have to assist them in staying tight. Anytime I'm wrapping wire, I find it much easier to keep it tight if I keep a little back pressure on the wire. Tip it a little bit towards the back, and that way it rolls off the face of the previous wrap and it stays nice and tight. Okay, so hold it close to the hook so you can control it. And keep that angled back a little bit. And letting that open up a little. And again, about 1 eye length shy of the eye. Then we're going to tie the wire off. Two or three good tight wraps here. And then I find it cleaner if I break one wire at a time. And if you measure your wire, say it takes about 9 inches for this size, then you will minimize the waste that you have on here. Come over, wrap that, clean that up a little bit. Okay, there's a bazillion different types of rabbit strips out there that you can use, all kinds of colors. I'm going to be using this two-tone purple and fluorescent fuchsia. You need a strip that is at least twice as long as the hook shank itself. Okay, and you want to work with, of course, the lay of that strip. So I'm going to use the hook to pierce this strip. Readjust that a little bit. I want the grain of the hair flowing back, and I want to pierce this about 1 hook shank length. Try to get it right in the middle of the rabbit strip. Pull it all the way through. And we want the fur side to be where the hook is. So you might have to twist your strip around. Want the hide against the hook, the fur side where the hook point is. If I get this clear. Looks like a bad hair day. Okay, we're going to tie this down about 1 eye behind the hook eye, and just simply stretch this, get this hair to lay. Pull it tight so that that strip is straight, and a couple of wraps to secure it. When you cut this off, cut it straight across. To cover this, it's much easier to move from the back of the hook eye up, ramp it up. That way your wraps of thread won't want to slide off of that. You're just going to make a nice smooth transitional cone here. Like so. Go ahead and whip finish. that out of the way. Now to complete it, we'll measure the strip to be hook shank in length. Bring it up right behind the eye. Now to try to avoid from cutting the actual hair, just slide your scissors in as close to the leather as you possibly can. I just like to initially make a nick for my length, like that. By keeping your scissors underneath the hair and right against the leather, you won't be cutting as much of the hair. So the hair will continue to flow off that cut end. And then finally, just cut this trailing end to a V. Again, slide your scissors against the leather. Try to avoid cutting the hair. The V gives it a little extra wiggle action when it's in the water. And if you've tied this correctly, that rabbit is tight against that wire and the fly will fish again in a straight line. As Craven says, this just drops like a bullet, so it's easy to fish in those weed pockets. It's easy to fish along the edges, and you can easily fish this with a 4-weight rod. It weighs virtually nothing. Thanks for joining in. Again, if you ever have any questions or comments, let us know. We'll see you next time.